Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
All right, guys, welcome back. This is Austin Linney with Construct Your Life podcast. I'm so grateful here to have Pace join me today. How you doing, Pace?
Bro, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you for coming in, guys. And so a lot of you know me, and a lot of you know that I work. I have multiple businesses. I work a lot. This guy makes me look like I'm standing still. His Instagram gives me I hyperventilate on his Instagram because he's all over the place. So Pace is... where do I start? He's on every podcast you see, real estate investor, owns multiple companies, creative financing, so many things. Why don't you tell the people how you got started, what you're doing today, and kind of the road that you've taken? I know you were a contractor for a long time as well. So.
I was a contractor for 10 years. In fact, I just finally got rid of my license 30 days ago. After a long battle with myself about getting rid of it. But I was a licensed contractor for a long time. I got into that game by somebody suggesting to me to go fix and flip houses. So I was in a partnership and I was raising capital for this partnership. I was traveling the country and I was raising, we put an offering together and I raised about $20 million for a business. What happened is my partnership at the time, I won't name the business and what I was doing because I don't want to get them in trouble, but my partners, as I was traveling the country, were embezzling the cash that I was raising, right? So like I'd be in Florida Friday, I'd get a check from an investor for $250,000. And by Monday they were saying, oh, hey, Pace, we're out of money. I'm like, you guys blew through $250,000? Like, well, our suppliers needed to be front loaded on this, this, and this. And I just, being the good partner I am, I just continue to go raise capital. Anyway, very long story short, I went to one of my investors who had been part of the deal. He was about $1 million of that business. And I went to him and I said, hey, this is what's going on. And he said, this is what you need to do. He helped me structure an exit and we fixed all the problems that were going on. There was no legal issues. We figured it all out. However, he was a home flipper. And I said, all right, well, now off to my next thing. I'm going to go raise money for somebody else. He goes, dude, don't raise money for somebody else. Go flip houses like I do and don't have any partners, don't have any employees, and just live an awesome life. And I'm like, okay. So I grew up in a contractor's household, so I knew what I was doing. And I grew up, on weekends and nights, I would go help my dad paint and I'd help him do drywall and framing and all that kind of stuff. And so I did my first flip about 4 miles south of me right here. And I did the work myself because it was just my first flip. And I get a call from a big company named Wedgwood. And Wedgwood calls me on my listing and they go, hey, we're in need of contractors. Who's your contractor? We need a referral. Like they didn't even care about the house. They cared about who was the contractor. And I said, oh, I was the guy. Long story short, they ended up getting me in business. They helped me get my license. And then a much longer story short, Open Door, OfferPad, and Zillow ended up hiring me as their main contractor for Phoenix. Okay. So I built a very large company. We did like 7,000 renovations. I opened up Dallas for Open Door. I opened up Vegas for Open Door and Zillow. And we really expanded and grew that business. And then obviously I was so busy doing renovations for other people. I no longer was fixing flipping my own houses. I was just building my own construction company. The problem with construction companies is that there are so many moving parts that there is no end to your day. So for 10 years of doing that, it was nonstop. 3 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night for years. And so one of the other ways I would get clientele is I would utilize my Instagram to do before and after photos. Obviously, really great way to get your business out there for contractors. Well, that ended up growing my clientele until 2018. Actually, I'll jump on 2018 in a second. In 2017, I had a client come to me I was fixing and flipping houses for, and she was a We Buy Ugly Houses franchise owner. Okay. And she said, I'm selling my franchise. My husband and I are going to go retire. I want to finance you to become a We Buy Ugly Houses person because I see how hard you work and I think you would absolutely crush it. So literally, I've been in the wholesale game for 38 months. Okay.
No kidding.
So from 2017, when I bought her franchise, January 2017 until now, that's 37 months. Or I'm sorry, 38 months. I was wholesaling 40 hours a week, and I was running my construction company another 60, 65 hours a week. What happened is right at the same time as 2017 happened and I started wholesaling, I got a hold of a customer that picked me up off my Instagram, my before and afters. He comes to me and he's like, hey, if you help me fund my projects, I'll pay you a little bit more money on the back end on my fix and flips. So what ended up happening is over the course of 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, I took over $1.5 million in my wholesale money and funded his projects, which he ultimately bankrupted me and he didn't bankrupt me, he filed bankruptcy on me and 48 other people. So that was 2018, end of 2018. So about a 2-year run with him. So all the money I made in wholesale in 2017 and all the money I made in wholesale in 2018 basically vanished because this guy sends me a letter 2 days after my daughter's born and said, hey, all the money I said I was going to pay you, I'm filing bankruptcy, right? So because of that, I now decided I want to be completely out of construction. I'm done with it. It took me a year to shut that down because of how big we were. Mm-hmm. But in that time frame, because I no longer was spending time advertising, kissing clients' asses, collecting bills, or any of that kind of stuff, I had so much extra time that from September 2018 up until now, I have been full-time real estate investing, which is my full-time thing. And now, because I've been able to rub shoulders with the right people, and instead of spending all my energy in the wrong bucket, so this is like a mindset thing, there's a lot of people out there that are like tied to the bucket that they're currently tied to, the basket with all their eggs in it. Whether it's, I'm a school teacher and this is what I know, so I'm going to stick with it because that's all I know. I was that person for 8-9 years as a contractor. Granted, in 2015, I made $1 million as a contractor take home. So like I made good money. Mm-hmm. But in 2018, when I finally released the chains of the contracting business and taking care of clients, dude, it's been crazy now spending your time on building your own endeavors, what you can do without having to work for other people. So what I currently own now is I own 4 assisted living facilities. We are developing 75 manufactured home lots right now. We always have 3 or 4 flips going, even right now, like even in this crazy time we're going through. I do probably 12 to 15 wholesale deals a month. And then we do another 12 to 15 subject to or seller finance deals a month. So I'm doing 25 to 30 transactions a month. I own now a title company. I own a door knocking app with Brent Daniels and Batch Skip Tracing and Tom Kroll. That's about to get released. I own a digital mobile notary company that's about to blast out. And then I have 3 or 4 other businesses that really don't pertain to this podcast necessarily. And I did all of that in 17 months.
And I think what I want to unpack there, because there's so much stuff, is that not amazing things happen to you. You had a guy that you trusted come to you, say, I'm filed for bankruptcy. I can't pay you any money. Those guys are embezzling. Like, in true story, from an outside point of view, because I know you, but I don't 100% know you. Like, I didn't know all this was like in the last couple of years.
Right.
There's so many people that would have called it a day. Like, this is what everybody that gets into real estate investing is freaks out about. Well, there's going to be a bad plumbing thing. This partner's going to steal money for me. What allowed you to just say, all right, that happened. I learned all this. And then you just keep shooting forward. And now you're in business with people who I know a couple of them are solid of the earth people. So, a lot of people would have been crippled by those failures or those missteps. What do you think has
I don't think I know one thing about myself is that if I allow myself any time to think about those kind of things, I will think about those things and I will dwell on them. And so what I learned in my 20s is that I have to do, it's kind of like, I really like what Grant Cardone talks about, where he talks about you've got to have your back up against the wall at all times. Like he operates, needle in the red all the time. And so here's a really good example. So I would, instead of running one business, I would find a business. For example, we have a cold call business, right? So we have cold callers in the Philippines and cold callers in Mexico. So part of getting into wholesale requires you to go hire cold callers, right? Doesn't require it, but it's a good move, right? As you're scaling. So instead I go, okay, well, I can have synergies between these two companies and I can leverage my experience and what I need here to go build another vertical and go build another business. What happens is now I'm so busy with creating new products with really amazing people, I don't have any time but to take action all day long, right? There's a pressure on me. That pressure a lot of times comes from my partners, the pressure from making sure my employees are taken care of, not just their paycheck, but like building their futures as well. Like we just bought a subject to on Sunday that I'm giving to one of my employees who've never owned a property before. I'm closing escrow on the house, handing them the keys, and they take over the payments, right? So like those types of things I should be spending my time and my brain power on. If I allow any free time, right? Any free time, I will think about negative things because I'm human. So instead of me trying to construct a world or construct a brain that avoids negativity, I create a world that doesn't allow me to have any negativity in it. Mm-hmm. Right. So even like something just got
people in your life, meaning everybody, right?
Everything. Like, in fact, I just had something pop up 45 minutes ago. Somebody brought a problem to me. I go, I have no space for that in my world. Please remove that. Either remove that problem or I have to remove you from my life. Mm-hmm. That was my reply. And I didn't say it so uncouth. I said it with a lot more bedside manner. Basically, I just said, look, I have a lot of things going on right now. I've got to focus on those things. So if there's a problem that I'm going to have to continually deal with because you are involved in my world, we've got to change a couple things. So I was ambiguous, but they understood what I was saying. And I just know, so there's that maybe the secret is that there is no secret, right? The secret is create like what you're doing, create a podcast, go create things. We as human beings want to go create, right? Which is what's so cool about what you're doing. Like people don't understand, like you've got to get the right headset. You got to get the right software. You got to get the right microphone. You got to have scheduling. You got to have all this stuff in order to do a podcast. So now your brain is thinking about 15 other tasks around a positive activity instead of dwelling on the bullshit.
So just to, and you don't know this, so I'm going to drop this on you like right on the podcast. And I'm just using myself as a case study right now. I got laid off yesterday at 12 o'clock. And I still did 2 podcast interviews after that. And so
that's amazing. I freaking love that.
And I did 3 today. So, everybody's trying to say, oh, I'm so sorry for you. Like, I'm like, fuck your sorries. Like, I ain't got time for that shit. I'm building 3 businesses. I got money in the bank. We just sold a house. Like, it's a gift. And what is funny is because I don't drink anymore and I used to be an alcoholic. The old me would have got that phone call at 12 o'clock and been drunk, passed out at 3 o'clock. But instead, the new me, surrounded by the right people with the right mindset, and just like you said, I got my new podcast. This is great. You pour yourself into that instead of go down the negative rabbit hole. I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. And the thing is like I call them vacuums. So like your podcast is a vacuum. It actually, because you've put it out into the universe, it now has a requirement. So for example, you send me an email, right? You've now created a vacuum that now you are required to reply. Otherwise there's social pressure for you. You know what I'm saying? Like there's an issue. So I create vacuums. It's the same thing with like, this is a weird way of the way I invest as well. Like I know that if I don't create vacuums for myself, the universe will create vacuums for me. So for example, if I have $100,000 flip, which like right now I have a $85,000 check coming to me tomorrow on a flip. Okay. If I already have not planned on where to spend that money and I just think, oh, I'm going to put it in the bank.
Yeah.
the universe will create negative vacuums to suck up that money.
Wow. That's
so
good.
What I do is I already know, like almost to like the last $500th dollar, like that money comes in, it goes into this, and this, and I don't see the money. Therefore, negativity can't suck it up. Because you ever feel that way? It's like, bro, I just made 10 grand and all of a sudden I got $10,000 of erroneous, crazy shit.
All the time. And the thing is that people don't understand is that if you allow those vacuum sucking people or those vacuum sucking things, like I'll just, like, true story. I'm training for 3 Ironmans this year. I had a guy that's working with me, new kid, and I was like training really hard one day, like 9 fucking hours all day, right? And he texts me like, know your limits. Bro, I lost my mind on that text. I go, let me tell you something, you motherfucker. I said, if you ever say limits to me one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. And what I'm saying by that is, like, I'm creating 3 businesses right now. I've got the podcast. I've got my wife, and same with you. You got a kid, a wife. Like, what I can do in one day or a week, don't compare me to you. Like, right. I know what I can take in, and yes, sometimes I might overwhelm myself. I'm sure you feel that sometimes.
Oh, that's part of creating vacuums. You have to overwhelm yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the question is like, what, and I watch you, and you're flying around the United States, and you're doing these meetups for free, and you're getting on phone calls with people, to sell their sellers. What started that whole thing for you that said, I'm just going to add so much, like, nasty amounts of value, like overindulgent? I can imagine that's given back to you like tenfold.
I'm a Pisces, which, like, if you believe in any of that stuff, which I don't necessarily, but for some reason Pisces like fits my personality really well, or maybe I've manifested it in my own life. I don't know. But as a Pisces, what I do is I want to solve everybody's problems. Okay. So like your problems become my problem, right? So the way a lot of people will listen to this podcast go, how did Pace allow this guy get over $1 million in arrears on him? It's because I felt bad for the guy. So I kept helping him try to build his business by funding him, right? So I've always been a value first, I'll get something back in return later type of guy. And the thing that I'm usually looking for, which is a problem for me and my family, is I'm typically looking for the value to be emotional income. So like, I want somebody to be like, thank you so much. Like, that feels as good to a personality like me as a $10,000 check. Weirdly, right? And we all have that as human beings. I think mine's more of a sickness. And so when I finally realized the value I was giving to this guy or other people as a contractor, like working my ass off, and then I took that same gift and I gave it to other people that actually like appreciated it, it became a sickness and an addiction, but in a good way. And so like, that's also why so many people have partnered with me. Like, I could go through all my 13 businesses right now and tell you the partners I have in them, and you'd be like, I know that guy. I know that guy. I know that guy. I know that guy. Holy shit, I didn't know you were partnered with that guy. And the reason being is because the value I start out with and the gift I give of my experience or my hard work, holding people by the hand, taking them through, basically, here's what happens. People talk about it. Right? They say, dude, I got my first deal because of Pace. He didn't even take a commission. He literally closed the seller, helped me sell the deal. I made $12,000. And when I offered to pay him, he said, no, buy me some sushi and we'll call it even. Right? Whereas other people would have charged $40,000, $50,000 for mentorship, and they would have never even provided half as much value as I did. Right? So you create that kind of value. These people have no other choice, and I didn't do this intentionally. But the byproduct of it is that now everybody talks about, dude, Pace is helping all these people. And now it's just those compliments or those posts on Instagram or Facebook that people say about me only fuel my fire even more. And all of a sudden I'm like, I have so many opportunities coming to me because people go, I want to partner with that guy because he's truly authentic, right? Mm-hmm. He's not fake. He's not running around trying to do all this shit. And he's doing it a different way. I want to partner with him. And so you're right. I unintentionally attracted 10 business partners in 10 different businesses that I had no belief. 2 years ago, I would have laughed if you told me like who I'm partnered with.
Yeah.
And it came from all those free things that I do for people. And we counted up, my wife and I just counted up, it's cost me $60,000 in the last 12 months to travel around and help people. And I've received zero like direct monetization for it. 60 grand. Yeah. But if you said, hey, would you put $60,000 up to partner with these 10 amazing people with 10 really solid businesses that are all interconnected? It's like all the businesses I own all are somewhat related, right? It's like a cold call company, wholesale company, subject to business, a title company, subject to assurance company, all these things that I have going on, they all are intermingled. I would have laughed if you said, oh yeah, for 60 grand, you could own all those businesses and be partnered with those people.
100%. And I'll say something about that because I think me and you think the same way. But when I met my current business partner, who will be my business partner for the foreseeable future, I seeked them out. The 3 people that I have working with me now, I seeked them out. They all took a year to get in my corner. He said something to me because we were in a big mastermind together. And he said, hey, I asked 30 people about you. This is what he told me before we partnered. And not one person had a negative thing to say. And that right there, I was like, we're good to go. Like,
that's amazing because if you think about it, and I'm sure you've ran into this, is that even if you go out for 10 years and you do nothing but positive stuff, there's always 10% of people that hate on you, and they'll make up and contrive fake bullshit about you because they're jealous, right? So if you had 30 out of 30, dude, that's like amazing. That's cool shit.
We have a mastermind that had like 280 people. And one of the goals in the first 3 months was they gave you points to see how many people you could meet, right? And have a 30-minute to an hour call with. Everybody was at 7. You know what I was at? 97.
Wow.
And that changed my life. I can't tell you the relationships I met just from those things, right? And so when you talk about your businesses and you have all those interlocking businesses, do you watch, you have done anything with Marcus Lemonis? Have you seen him? Do you know anything about him? So he's the guy that owns Gander Mountain, Camper World. Dude's a billionaire, so much things. He has always fashioned all of his businesses to interlock businesses. So he's got a wholesale car company. Well, then he gets a car lot. Well, then he buys 6 clothing companies and puts them all in one store, but then buys a distribution company that puts out the clothes, right?
Love it.
So what we talk about in my company is we want to be a buffet to investors. We're an all-you-can-eat buffet. We're going to, and see, like in my businesses, I kind of, if I would imagine I carry the same role that you do, I'm more of the overseer. There's an integrators all along the board because I'm not that guy. And then I am kind of the rah-rah and then the driving force, but I'm also the inspirer. And I found that what's changed my life is self-awareness. And when I realized that I am an assassin at finding talent and then polishing them up and putting them in the spot. And that's kind of changed my life when I removed, like, true story. I don't even know what's going on in my, like, he said something to me today and I was like, oh, that's happening in our business? Because he's running the business.
Right.
I'm out there getting clients, right? And I think you had to probably have that moment about.
Yeah, I have it all the time. And it's a challenge. Is like with my team, for a long time, people relied on me for certain things. And so I'm in a point now where I wish I knew what I know. I wish I knew 20 years ago what I know now in terms of like, here's your personality. Stop trying to take on too much. Rely on other people. And if they ask you to do something, push back on them and say, that's your job, right? So like my partner, Cody, will call me and ask me questions about such and such. I go, you know what? You know who we should ask about that? And he's like, who? And I go, this guy named Cody, I know, he's my partner. Right. And I throw it right back on him. I go, I don't know, nor should I know, because I have a partner that does know that. And he's younger. So like part of that, he hasn't been through what you and I have been through in terms of like
mine too. Yeah.
Business structures and business things that have to be taken care of. So something will pop up new in the business as you're scaling that didn't exist 3 months ago, as you know. And then the new task comes up and he's like, hey, what do you want to do here? I go, that's a great question for this guy named Cody. Yeah. You might want to call him.
So I'm going to ask your advice on this because you've got all these businesses, and I'm going to get selfish for a moment. In the last couple months, we're creating other businesses. I'm creating my own wholesale company as well too.
Right.
We haven't launched yet. It's going to be a lot of me. And I love everybody. So I'm quick to jump in a business with everybody, and they don't live up to the expectations, the communication. Maybe I didn't set them right, whatever that case may be. And I made a conscious decision a month and a half ago that I'm going to let the deals drive the business.
Yes.
Like, meaning if you show me that you do the work and you actually follow through on the deals, then we'll talk about creating businesses together.
Right.
I mean, is that a proper way to look at it?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we did. I've made a lot of really bad decisions. In fact, like most of them, my wife called them out before they were like crash and burn.
My wife always does that too.
But what happened is I partnered with like best friends. I partnered with people I went to high school with. That kind of stuff, because I'm thinking, oh, I like this guy. We have so much in common. We're going to be successful. But then I read the book Rocket Fuel, right? Mm-hmm. And talks a lot about integrators and like, do not partner with another visionary, right? Mm-hmm. So when I met Cody, my current partner, we dated for multiple months. And what it was is I said, okay, great. You're the integrator. You have leads, but you can't close them. I'm a visionary. I can close and get deals done. If we can get X amount of deals done together. So we met in January. We ended up partnering in June. But from January to June, we probably did 20 deals together, right? And it was like, okay, we like each other. Now we can go open a bank account. Mm-hmm. So literally we were JVing on everything together with full transparency, in the hope and the wish. We were like outwardly said, we want to partner with each other, him with me more than me with him. Because I'm 36 at the time, 35 at the time. He was 24. And I said, dude, I've partnered with people that just simply do not carry their weight, right? Not even 10% of what they say they can do. And I feel like I'm constantly holding the bag on everybody's, whatever. Mm-hmm. So he showed himself. And 4 or 5 months later, I said, okay, man, if we can get to this number, let's partner together. So we created a company, put a bank account together. And now him and I own in less than 8 months, him and I have went and built 6 other businesses together that are all, cranking away.
Yeah. And so I basically surrounded myself with my current business partner, who's the exact opposite of me, and my right-hand podcast producer, all stuff, everything is the exact opposite of me, both of them. And it has changed my life because I don't live in the weeds anymore. Like, they're like, Austin, they just wind me up and I network out. And I meet clients and I fly around. It's the best. It's changed my life.
Yeah. I mean, and the reality is like my partner, Cody, appreciates the position he's in as well, as much as I appreciate my position. Mm-hmm. And the more I just take full ownership of who I am and what gifts I was given, instead of trying to control everything, that's the hard part. So like in Rocket Fuel, there's a chapter that talks about, as you scale in your business and your integrator and your people start taking things off the visionary's plate, the visionary will have this issue of disconnecting. In fact, he'll come back and he'll get involved because he's like, gosh, damn it, you guys can't do anything right. Let me get back and get involved. And they're like, that's the moment you have to fight. You have to go out and go create more and force your team to really and don't have the feeling of I'm no longer important because I'm no longer the guy signing the contracts. That was a hard thing for me, is like, I see my team signing contracts now without my involvement. And I'm like, oh shit, that's like Michael Jordan sitting on the bench watching Scottie Pippen win the game. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. It's a tough thing to watch, but it's a necessary evil in order for you to scale and grow your business.
100%. And I would venture to guess, I mean, I don't know her. I just know of what you speak of her on social media. But I would imagine a lot of the reasons that you're allowed to have as many businesses as you have and the success that you probably bring is your wife, right? And how much of a part does that pay that she's bought into the madness, per se,
Yeah, I think, there's a couple of good things, right? Her and I, when we met, we were both already adults, right? So it's not like I married a 19-year-old girl that was like fresh out of high school and hadn't lived life. Like, my wife had a child. She was going through real estate school on her own. Her parents had just gone through the 2008 crash as a contract. Her dad was a really big builder here, mm-hmm. and he lost everything. So like my wife had lived life, right? And so she's never been a woman that wants more than just true happiness, right? So the thing that I think frustrates my wife more than anything else is that certain people I allow into my world, because she's like, you have a gift people really need to earn the right to have access to your gift, and you give your gift away freely. Right. So there are moments where she gets frustrated, justifiably. And then here I am, just like you, I'm sure, with your wife. No, baby, like, you don't understand, and this, that, and the other. And next thing you know, she's right. Yeah. But my wife is highly supportive. She knew when we met that my biggest hobby is working, right? Like, it's not just my profession, it's also what I enjoy to do. So let's take I have a buddy that is has a 9-to-5. And his 9-to-5 takes up probably 50 hours worth of work of him a week. Then on top of it, he goes and has hobbies of like bow hunting and fishing and this, that, and the other, take up another 20 hours of his week. Mm-hmm. So his wife doesn't complain to him about working too much, even though technically he's away from the house probably the same amount of hours as I'm away from the house. It's just that I don't really have hobbies except work. So I have had to have conversations with my wife and let her know, like, hey, I know I'm working a lot, but this is also my hobby. So you got to understand, this is not just like a 60-hour-a-week thing. This is like, so we, I'm sure you do too. I'd be curious, like, how you set your schedule with your kids and your wife. Like for us, I get an hour in the morning, and then I'm usually 2 to 4 hours at night that is like dedicated. So 5 hours a day, 30 hours a week is dedicated to my family. And Sunday is literally like, if somebody calls me on Sunday, they get the 10th degree. It's like, don't call me on Sunday.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, we don't have kids, so it's a little different. But you got to understand, me and my wife both came from the restaurant business, 20 plus years. She's a caterer for weddings.
That's a chaotic business.
Yeah, don't even get me started. But what has happened over the last, true story, I'll put myself on trial here. I wasn't comfortable enough in myself, and I was seeking validation from others so much that I would answer the phone at 9:00 at night. I would, and I'm building this Airbnb business, and I would let the guests talk to me at 11:00 at night. I mean, like, it was running my fucking life. My wife looked at me and she goes, "You look like you're gonna hurt somebody." And I go, "I'm physically like this business is running me the fuck over, and not only that, I'm letting people run me over." And when I started working on myself and I started realizing that I didn't need anybody else's validation, that's when it started. Now, I won't lie to you, I'm still a workaholic, but I have got way better at, like, after like 6:00, you can't really get me. I'll put stuff off to tomorrow. But I tell you what it was, and you'll know because I saw you that day. That day, I don't know what it was about. When I spent the whole day with Templeton, he listened to me all day, right? Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And at like 4:00, we're in the car, and he goes, "Hey, bro, I don't really do a lot of new construction, nor do I care about your businesses. So why are you trying to get validation from me?" And that's when it was like, holy shit. And that changed my life. And it was kind of a combination of my mentor kind of working on me for the last 6 months. And I realized that what Templeton wants out of his life and his business for his kids is his own, right? And so I needed to have my own. And when you get to that space, nothing else matters. That changed my life.
Right.
And I'm sure
it's pretty amazing. Actually, I was talking to my wife,
because what your life looks like, 90% of people would go, "Oh, he doesn't give a shit. He's working all the time." Like, y'all love that stuff. Like, so, you know what I'm saying? That's you. Like, that's your life.
Well, I'm lucky enough. Like, my wife actually is our listing agent, and she's also sometimes on my personal deals, because I get a lot of deals from probate attorneys that don't really have anything to do with my wholesale business. And so those deals just go through me, not with my partners or anything like that. And my wife handles those kind of things. So we get to work hand in hand. Sometimes it can get tense, right? But like overall, like even today, I went to my wife. I go, "Do you see what's going on in the economy?" And my wife looks at me and she goes, "We're going to be absolutely fine. Yeah. Don't even worry about it." She's like my foundation and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, "Well, I'm not worried about it." She's like, "Sweetheart, it's actually going to be better for us." So she puts a positive spin on it and all that. It was much appreciated.
So, true story. I last year started a company with 2 guys. Don't need to get into all the details, but I lost money for the first time in real estate ever. I had huge wins. And I, for 2 days, was just ripping myself apart. I'm like, I missed out. This was my one opportunity. I blew it. The shit hit the fan. And she literally looked at me in the car and she goes, "Hey, pussy, pull it together." She goes, "Are you the one that tells me that there's always more money the next day?" And I went, "Yep." And I straightened up and it was like, all right, well, let's. And it's amazing when you have that person that is your ride or die right there with you, and she's supporting you. And that is better than any business partner or any, because that is true. You're in the trenches together. Right. So, but I got to give the guys the most value. So we're going to spend about 6 minutes and you tell these guys basically what you're kind of getting known for right now. You are the subject to king. This guy is buying properties at mass scale. And I think that the economy that we're headed into is going to be ripe with these type of deals of people trying to get out of deals. So we're talking about, guys, creative financing, low money down to get you into the business. This is going to be key moving into the economy we're moving into. Don't you agree?
100%. Actually, my wife and I, when we first met, it was funny because we missed the downturn of 2008, 2009, 2010, 11, whatever, right? We weren't in real estate at the time. And so my wife was in real estate, but not as an investor, right? So now forward into the future, now we're both in investing. And my wife for like the last several years is like, I can't wait for the next crash. I can't wait for the next crash. I can't wait for the next crash. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago that I truly bought into that, because now I realize we can buy houses no matter whether there's lending being given out or not, because all I simply have to do is take over somebody else's debt that I don't even have to qualify for, right? So like Sunday, for example, I get a wholesaler calls me up. "Hey man, I've got this lead. She has no equity, but she has a lot of pain. She bought the house a year ago, freshly updated, really nice house. Looks like it can cash flow. Do you want the lead?" Duh. Of course I want the lead. So I go over to the house. I recorded the whole conversation. By the way, it's in my creative financing group. I record every conversation with the seller. So, because people ask all the time, "What's your script? Send me a copy of your script." I go, my script is different every time I talk to a seller, right? Depending on the pain. So I go over there, I talk to the seller, I record the conversation. So if anybody on your, any of your audience wants to hear that, go to my Facebook group. It's free. And
guys, you have to be in this Facebook group.
It's crazy.
So much value. It's just I've never seen anything like it, really.
It's bonkers. So
we'll put the link in the show notes.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. So I go to the house and the seller says, "Well, I want X amount of money down." And I understand what you mean with subject to and yada, yada, yada. And I go, I can't give you any money down. All I can do is take over your mortgage, and I can pay $650 for your moving expenses and closing costs. That's as much money as I'm willing to invest. And I have the confidence and understanding how to structure deals and how to talk to sellers that I could go buy a house like that every single day. Now, what can I do with that? I can do 5 or 6 different things with it. Number one, you could do an Airbnb business. What I've been telling people for a year, do not do Airbnb, because I feel like
Captain, it's getting demolished, and
it's a tough world.
50% of the business is going to be bankrupt. Yes.
So I feel like you can do an Airbnb, which is like, I don't think that's a good exit strategy, but the best exit strategies are, number one, if you don't have money, if you literally have zero money, you're a wholesaler and you're broke, right? And you're just putting money, you're working a 9 to 5, you're putting a little bit of money on the side. You can do deals that nobody else can touch, like that deal. Literally, a wholesaler sends me the deal. And this is a guy that's been around for like 5-6 years. Very, very well connected. He says, "I can't do anything with this deal." I take it, and we'll probably make $12,000 or $13,000 on the upfront, and then probably $600 on a monthly basis. How am I going to do that? I basically take the cost to get into the deal, which is about $5,000. That's closing costs, my first month's rent, a little bit of cleanup, and $650 for their moving expenses. I'm all into the deal, let's say $5,000, right? What I do is I have my escrow 60 days, okay? During that 60 days, my contract allows me to find a buyer for that property, and that buyer is going to buy that house from me on either a land contract, which basically means I'll sell the house to them. they don't take title, they don't have ownership of the property till it's paid off, or I'll do what's called a wrap. Okay. So a wrap just essentially means I go find a buyer who can't get qualified from a traditional mortgage, and surprise, surprise, how many people do you think are going to be popping up all over the place over the next 2 to 3 years?
About 60% there, Pace.
A lot, right? So you're going to have a lot of people that might have $10,000, $15,000. They want to buy a house,
but they probably have got filed for bankruptcy or got their house foreclosed on in the next
divorce. They only have one income.
6 to 8 months you're gonna see it.
It's gonna be insane. So those buyers are out there right now. Think about where we'll be in a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. So utilizing creative financing, I can sell that house that cost me $5,000 to get into. I can sell it for $15,000 down at a higher interest rate and a higher payment, so that I not only make $10,000 up front, right? So $15,000 down, they cover my $5,000 to get into the deal, plus I take the $10,000 fee. Then the payment on the mortgage is $700, but the rent rates in that area are $1,200. So I can make $500 a monthly on a monthly deal for 30 years and finance that person. So I'll end up making $160,000 on a property that somebody else thought was a trash lead.
Yeah, guys, your mind just got blown there.
Right. So it's it's crazy. So in the Facebook group, what I did last week is I spent 2 hours on a live Facebook Live, and I broke down a deal that another wholesaler sent to us. There was no money in the deal for him, and we will end up making over the course of that deal $362,000.
Mm-hmm.
But on the upfronts, I'll make as much money. Think about that. People that are in wholesale, they'd be happy with the $10,000 assignment right now. So I took a deal that has zero equity, found a buyer that can't get qualified but has some money down. They're everywhere right now. They're going to be not just everywhere, it's going to be everybody, right? It's just think about 2012. How many people were having a hard time getting qualified for mortgages back in 2012?
Because guys, and I want you to understand something, because I come from the money side, private equity, and that was my job. You got to understand something. What happens in a recession, and what's happening right now, is there's a massive amounts of companies that got their hands in a cookie jar, and they lended out a ton of money, and the capital markets are frozen right now. I mean, when I say frozen, bro, they are frozen. Blackstone cut off, Open Door, all these big iBuyers, they close shop. And when you come out of this, their restrictions are going to be so tight that you're going to have to be a perfect borrower to get a house. And this is going to last for 3 to 4 years.
Right.
So creative financing is probably, and wholesaling, if cash buyers, is going to be the cat's pajamas. That's going to be
even in wholesale. Think about this. So I have a mechanism called subtail. Okay. So I buy a house subject to, and I take it retail. So think about people talk about wholetailing, right? So you buy a house from a seller, there's not a huge spread on it, so you throw it back on the retail market. In my world, I'm not closing on that deal and putting on the market. I'm buying somebody's house subject to, and then I'm putting on the retail market, where I didn't have to get a hard money loan. I didn't have to put money down. I didn't have to technically close on it. I just keep their mortgage in place, and then I sell it on the open market, right? Some people call that also a ovation agreement, but the difference is I'm taking over their mortgage. They're now out of the house, and I put it on the retail market, right? So I think we have 3 or 4 of those going right now, where there wasn't enough equity for a wholesaler to sell it to a cash buyer. Mm-hmm. But even if there was, we do have one deal. I can't remember which one it is, but we have a deal that we're making $65,000 on flipping the house. But instead of me going and getting a hard money loan, I just took over the person's mortgage, renovated the house and put it on the retail market. So no need for hard money, no need for expensive closing and then closing again, and down payments to a lender and all that kind of stuff. So there's so many different strategies. There's currently 9 really good strategies on subject to and seller finance that I feel like you can make as much money on an upfront utilizing creative finance as you can on an upfront of wholesale. Mm-hmm. The problem is a lot of cash buyers are exiting the market, and those cash market buyers are exiting the market for 2 reasons. Number 1, they're afraid of the economy. And number 2, hard money lenders are going to start tightening up their lending, right?
Wow.
So if you don't need a loan, If you don't need a loan and you just took over somebody, if I came to you and I said, hey, Austin, I know you want to fix and flip. What if I gave you this person's house at 300, or not 300, but let's say 200 grand that you would have bought at 200 grand, gone out and get a hard money loan. The benefit to you is that this $200,000 purchase has a 2.8% interest rate attached to it. You don't have to go get a loan. You can just do your renovation, throw it on the market. Dude, selling those to a cash buyer.
Like my Spidey just went up. I was like, oh man, that's nice. But what you got to understand, guys, from a macro level, and I'm trying to talk to the new guys, you don't understand the ripple effects that are coming down the pipe in the economy. You see 2 trillion, that doesn't mean crap. That is nothing, because you have unemployment is at 30% right now, guys. It was at 2%, 2 and 3% in 2 weeks, week and a half. So those people are going to be kicked out of their homes or have to leave their homes. The rental market is going to be strong as anything for the next 10 years. And then, so you're thinking of different ways. And I always thought the number one thing for me was how to get in a house with the least amount of cash, because that cash can buy more houses. That's how I've lived my whole life.
Right. I had a seller I talked to this morning for some guy I'd never met before. He just calls me out of my Facebook group. Hey, Pace, this is Mark. I'm in your Facebook group. I've got a seller on 3-way. Do you mind explaining to the seller what subject 2 is? And I'm like, yeah. Like I was meeting my wife at a house we have on Boise that is closing tomorrow or Friday. And I'm like, sure, man, I got a couple minutes. And he's like, no, the seller's on the phone with me right now. I was like, oh my gosh. So this is the reason I bring it up, is because he says, well, the seller wants $20,000. So I told the seller, I just jumped right into it. And I said, hey, Tim was the seller's name. I said, hey, Tim, here's the challenge with $20,000. Right now, as the economy is imploding, $20,000 can buy me 10 properties.
Yeah.
Because I have sellers that are willing to give me 0 down, 0% seller finance deals. All I do is pay the close of escrow, and I'm into the deal. Yeah. So why would I give you $20,000 and cut off my ability to go buy 9 other properties with that same amount of money? And he was like, okay, so how much money would you be willing to do? And I go, $0. And the seller's like, okay, so how does that benefit me? And I go, look, I'll bump it. So like we have a balloon at 10 years, maybe I'll give you $5,000 in 10 years, but I'll take over your mortgage right now, get you out of the deal. I'll give you $1,000 down, and I'll give you $5,000 at 10 years. And that's all you get. And he goes, all right, what's our next steps? Right. So that's the kind of deals you guys got to be getting into, is that your entrance to the deal is less than $5,000, maximum $10,000. And then you can sell that on a wrap. You can do a flip with it. You can hold it as a lease option, because our lease options, we'll get lease option fees that are $7,500 to $15,000. Mm-hmm. So we're into those deals, $0 out of pocket on a subject to, or even a seller finance deal that, took $5,000 to the seller or whatnot. Right. So like here, let me walk you through an example. This is another recording in my Facebook group. I meet with a seller on 78th about a month ago. The seller on 78th, that's the street name, 78th, says, well, I want 150 grand. I go, okay, well, the problem with 150 grand is that's retail. So if if I come up to your 150, are you willing to acknowledge I'm not a cash buyer for you anymore? And would you be willing to give me terms? That's how I convert that conversation to a term conversation, right? So the seller says, well, what does that mean? I said, well, basically it means I'll pay you whatever you want, but I would have to do it on terms. And they go, I don't really quite understand terms. I go, okay, let me tell you a quick story about an F-150. So I had an F-150 years ago. I went on Kelley Blue Book. I decided I was going to sell it. Went on Kelley Blue Book, found out it was only worth $5,000. But I'm belligerent and I'm emotionally attached to this truck. So I put it on Craigslist for $10,000. Did I sell that truck for $10,000? No, I didn't. In fact, I didn't get one single phone call on that truck for $10,000. I go, that's the problem. You're selling a $100,000 house for $150,000. That's why I'm here. Nobody else has bought this property from me. And they're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, but we just want our number. I go, great. So after 3 months of me not being able to sell my truck, my wife comes into me and says, "Hey, sweetheart, why don't you just take payments on the truck?" And I'm like, holy shit. So I go back to Craigslist and I change one thing. I said, "will take payments." I ended up having to shut that Craigslist ad off 15 minutes later because I got too many calls. Did I sell that truck for $10,000? No, I sold the truck for $12,500 with $500 down, $200 payments every single month. And I tell the sellers that exact story almost word for word because I've said it so many times. And I go, so I'm the reason I tell you this, seller, is because you can sell me anything you want at any price you want as long as you give me the terms that I want. So if I can turn around and I can make money, so I go, why did the guy who bought the truck for me at $12,500, why did he pay 2.5 times what that truck was worth? Well, he did that because he took the $200 payment and he went out and painted houses utilizing my truck, and he made $6,000 or $7,000 a month to support his family. So for him, a $200 payment is nothing.
Yeah.
So as long as you can structure a payment for me that will allow me to go out and rent the property and make a spread and feed my family, then I will pay you the $150. She goes, great. I totally understand that, because I never talked about subject to creative finance. I never bring up any of those words. So I tell the seller, so what would you take down? What would it take to get this deal done? She says, $20,000 and I want 8% interest. And I go, okay, how about we do $500 down and we do 0% interest? And she's like, why would I do that? And I go, because I'm paying full retail. Like if you want me to do $20,000 down at 8% interest, I'll buy it at $120. But if you want me to do it at $150, I'll do it $500 down at 0% interest. And she goes, okay, I really want the $150. I'll do it at $150. But people that don't understand financing, which obviously she doesn't, the way, if you hear the recording, this is how I get her to agree to the 0%. As I said, I'm really not good at amortization. I'm really not good at understanding this, because what if I want to make 2 payments in a month? What if I want to make 3 payments in a month and like pay that down faster? How does that affect the amortization? And are you prepared to do that calculation 2-3 years into the thing where I say, can you please update the amortization schedule? And she says, I don't even know what an amortization schedule is. I go, yeah, exactly. So why would we put ourselves into a painful position where now we're adding interest and principal versus interest? I go, let's just do interest only. I'll pre-build in your interest into the 150. So we'll buy it at 150, 0%. And then anyway, we closed escrow on that deal. It was already renovated. She had family in there. They just simply, here's why they wanted to sell it. So this is why another reason why people are confused with seller finance is they're always asking, well, why does a seller give you their mortgage, or why did they sell you their house on terms? Well, it's the same reason somebody would sell you their house for 60 cents on the dollar as a wholesaler. They have some sort of pain and they need to solve it. A lot of times, like the house that I'm living in right now, this is my personal house. I bought this house on subject to. So you would assume the pain is similar pain. It's not. Typically, it's like really positive pain. It's like, we want to go travel the world and we don't want to be held down by our rentals anymore, but we really want retail. I can't tell you how many freaking investors I ran into in 2017 and 18 that were like tired landlords, but they just wanted a specific number that they weren't ready to negotiate down from. I could have gone to those people if I knew what I was doing 4 years ago and said, I'll buy your house, but on terms. I would have been cash flowing those properties for 3 or 4 years. So Dave, the guy that I bought the house from, 78, the story I just told you about her, from $500 down for 0%, they spend their summers in Oregon, and they go, we just want to spend the whole year up there in Oregon, and we don't want to worry about our rental properties anymore. And I'm like, rental properties? You have more than one. So we ended up buying 2 properties from them at 0% finance, $500 down on both, right? What do they get? Well, they own them free and clear. So they get a payment from us every single month. Now, because I'm the owner, they don't have to deal with property taxes. They don't have to deal with any of the maintenance. They don't have to deal with the bull crap, tenants calling them and stuff like that. So there's pain that gets solved there. Now, the house that I live in now, we just moved in here in January. So I've only been here 2 months. Dave Byarski, the seller of this property, calls us up and he goes, dude, I have a listing that's about to get expired. The agents can't sell the house for what I owe. I heard you were super creative. Can you come over here and solve this problem? Turns out the guy bought the house in 2008, right before the crash. So he owed in 2019 exactly what it was worth 11 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. It came back to where he was. So $425,000. So he's like, I'm back to a point, but now his amortization, so his $1,900 payment is now paying $800 a month towards the principal, because that mortgage has been in place for 11 years. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, this is an absolute slam dunk. There's zero equity, but not only does the amortization pay $800 down a month, but I can cash flow this $1,900 payment to a $2,900 renter. Mm-hmm. So my wife, again, as I mentioned earlier, is one of my transaction coordinators. So she came over to sign the paperwork and she says, I love this house. I want to move into it. Mm-hmm. So that's a cool thing, is that us as salespeople, 1099, usually a lot of people in this real estate world, ironically, most real estate agents can't even get qualified for their own real estate purchases.
They can't.
But if you actually utilize creative financing, you could buy 100 houses this year without pulling your credit one freaking time.
It's amazing.
So that's the power of Subject 2, is that you can buy any property you want by taking over somebody else's debt. And typically at an interest rate lower than you could qualify for yourself, even if you could qualify.
Yeah, and you just went to school, guys. Like, you just went to school. And that's what he's given in his Facebook group. And he's got a Sunday night call. I mean, there's so many things. So, we'll wrap it up here. But why don't you tell about all the listeners where they can get a hold of you if they want to see your material, all your stuff you got going on?
I would say 3 things. So you go to Instagram, go to my profile. I have like a link tree. You can click on it. It goes to all my stuff. That's number 1. Go to my Instagram. I'm active there. I post all sorts of crazy shit all day long. And then number 2, go to Wholesale Hotline's Facebook group. That's where Brent Daniels, Jamil Damji, and myself do a show every Monday at 5 p.m. Arizona time. We take live calls. We get probably anywhere between 300 to 500 live watchers, and like 3,000, 4,000 people watch it in the first day. So high value, where there's a lot of, it's a really popular show. And then I have a show on Sunday nights on my Facebook Live called Sunday Service. And Sunday Service is all about creative financing. So Monday I do wholesale, Sunday I do creative financing, and it's just my show. I don't really ever have guests because I'm a long-winded guy like you, Austin. Like, you could probably talk till the cows come home.
Yeah.
I want to have a podcast that nobody tells me when to stop.
Dude.
So we'll go like from 7 o'clock at night till 11 o'clock at night sometimes. And we'll keep a solid stream of 500 people watching it the whole time.
See, I hope everybody's ready, because I've already realized, like I did one with my coach yesterday, all my podcasts are just going to be the same guest, part 2, part 3, because I just want to have conversations forever.
Yeah, that's it.
We talk about my buddy's podcast up in Austin. We want it to be like Joe Rogan's, where you just talk for like ever,
His is the best, absolute best
because
podcast.
That's when you start. In the first 20 minutes, people are present, but as you go, I feel like they start loosening up and some of the gold comes out,
Yeah, like Elon Musk smoking a joint, it's like, holy crap.
Like, what just happened? I do want to say something, and I wanted to save it till the end. And maybe this will be my message to all those guys out there, because I've spent time in Arizona. I said it during the meetup, and I'll say it again here. The group of investors and people that are doing deals in Tempe, Tucson, Phoenix is an inspiring group of people, and that would be an understatement. Guys, these are guys that compete for the same deals, all of them, and they're all big players. And yet, if you talk to Ryan, which I've talked to a lot, Tempe's my friend. I've listened to Brent Daniels' podcast, Steve Tran. It really is, you're showing the real estate public from afar, as I'm sitting here in Texas, how business gets done. And I can only imagine that because of the collaboration, because of the shared knowledge, everybody's growing together to be better investors and people.
It's nonstop. It's like a bullet train. When you And that's the thing, like our message on Wholesale Hotline is all about squad up, right? So it's like, go create your own squad, because people ask, how did that happen? I go, here's where Phoenix really got crazy. About 2 years ago, we went to Max Maxwell's event as competitors. We spent a weekend together as like, we were there in a sea of people from Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, etc. And we had really no choice but just to band together during this event, like, you know. And then we came out of that event saying, wow, like, we love each other. This is amazing. So for the last 2 years, it has created a spirit of brotherhood in Phoenix that now Templeton and other people have all gravitated to it. Templeton has his own amazing energy anyway. So now it's like, there's probably 25 very large investors that all have squatted up. We watch each other's back. We're all in a group text, and there's like, you know, it'll be like, hey guys, watch out for this. Hey guys, I need this. Okay, I got this. Hey, I need an attorney for this. But it's like this very, very small squad. So I would suggest anybody, your listeners that are inspired by the Phoenix crew as well, like, create your own Phoenix crew. It takes a year, it takes 2 years, but create a crew that just runs together like a pack of wolves, you know?
Yeah. And when you'd be surprised, right? When you, like my mentor, who's dude's a boss, bro, out in Sacramento. And he talks about it all the time. And every time we get together, he says, look, bro, the only thing I want to do is just do dope shit with great people. And I know y'all, that's your little tagline, but that it's the truth. When you separate money out of the argument, I want to show up every day and feel great. You know, Aaron Wags, this guy that runs this big fund in Utah, said it. He goes, don't count other people's money. Yeah. It ain't your business. And when you separate the money out and you just move forward, you'd be surprised how much good stuff comes to you when you're just moving together.
Right.
Yeah, it's the truth. But Pace, I thank you so much, guys. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to rate us, share it with your friends. Y'all just went to school on creative financing. I know I'm going to use some of those tips. Thank y'all so much. And thank you, Pace.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. You're the man.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.